Bret Easton Ellis Podcast.
I'm here with Kanye West.
Right now I'm able to talk and be here and, live in LA and have a living and be able to get engaged to my girl because I am a successful musician currently. But if I were to write my title, like going through the airport and you have to put down what you do, I would literally write creative genius, except for two reasons. Sometimes it takes too long to write that, and sometimes I spell the word genius wrong. So.
Check out the debut episode of the Bret Easton Ellis Podcast at podcastone.com, where I'm joined by Kanye West.
Hey, what's up? It's Kanye.
Download it now and experience it for yourself at podcastone.com.
Hey, gang, this episode of the Steve Austin Show is supported by Lumosity. Lumosity.com's daily online workouts are designed to improve memory and attention and are dedicated to helping people feel sharper, think faster, and remember more. Go to Lumosity.com and tell them you heard it from me, Steve Austin.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is the Steve Austin Show. Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. Happy Thanksgiving, motherfuckers. That's right, it's a day early, but it's a national holiday on Thursday. Ain't nobody going to be working to drop the Steve Austin Show then. They're going to be laid up on their ass, eating turkey and dressing and cranberry sauce, pecan pie, pumpkin pie, green bean casserole, sweet potato pie, all that bullshit. So I told you it's going to be a day early, and you get it. Psst, a can of audio whoop-ass opened a day early. Goddamn, what a lucky day it is. I want to thank you guys for hitting the download button. And if you ain't hit the subscribe button yet, hit that motherfucker too. Help a brother out. Before I get on and start talking trash about my new guest, I got a little story to share with you today. Y'all know it's deer season out here at the Broken Skull Ranch. I was sitting in a deer stand the other day with Hershey the Wonder Dog, and cold front kind of blew in, nice and chilly, having a good day there in the deer stand. And I was sitting there, and I pick up my binoculars to look at this buck that had just walked in. And I picked up my binoculars, and there was a yellow jacket right there on my binoculars. So I kept the binoculars in my left hand, and with my right hand, I thumped that son of a bitch off the glasses, and he hit the damn side of the deer stand and bounced down onto the floor. Well, I thought it was the floor, but it wasn't. I have one of those kind of Elmer Fudd caps with all the fuzz and stuff in it to keep warm with little flap-down ear gimmicks. That motherfucker had landed in my Elmer Fudd hat, and I'd taken the thing off because the thing is so warm that it heated my bald-ass head up. So anyway, I didn't know that the yellow jacket had landed in my Elmer Fudd hat. So I put my glasses back up. I'm looking at this buck. Here comes another buck over here to the right. A doe and a fawn come in from the left. I'm kicking back, surveying everything. I pick up my video camera and take some videos of the bucks. One of the bucks I had not seen before. There's another hog come out to the right of me about 300 yards down. I got an eye on him. And I'm just doing my thing, and I'm thinking, hey, man, it's starting to get a little chilly again. I got my camouflage jacket laid out on the floor for Hershey the Wonder Dog, so she's not cold. She's just chilling, sleeping, snoring, enjoying the hunt. She doesn't really actually hunt. She sleeps while I hunt because she can't see through the windows. So I said, well, shit, man, it's getting kind of chilly. I better put my Elmer Fudd cap back on. Well, unbeknownst to me, I did not know that the yellow jacket was inside the hat that I just thumped him off, and he hit off the deer stand wall and bounced into my hat. So I put my hat back on my head, and that motherfucker lit my ass up, stung me right on the top of my fucking cabeza. Man, I fucking yanked that cap off, seen that yellow jacket in there, stomped a mud hole in that motherfucker and walked it dry. Man, I started rubbing that knot on my head. I said, son of a bitch. If there's one thing I can't stand is thumping a yellow jacket on my binoculars, bouncing off the deer stand wall, then it lands in my Elmer Fudd hat. Then I'm going to put my Elmer Fudd hat back on and not knowing that the yellow jacket's in there and that motherfucker stings me right on top of my motherfucking head. God damn, I had a big-ass knot up there, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, what if that motherfucker would have hit my optic nerve? What if he blinded me? What if I got blinded by a yellow jacket because he hit my optic nerve? I don't know that it's possible for a yellow jacket to sting you on top of the head because I don't really think the optic nerve is anywhere in that region, but I just started thinking about it while I was sitting there rubbing that motherfucking knot. Anyway, I flipped that little motherfucker out there and beat his ass with the bottom of my damn boot, killed him, and then got back to hunting. But other than that, I've come out completely unscathed. Yellow jacket's coming out like a motherfucker in all these deer stands. I'm going to get on my goddamn UTV. I'm going to get on my Polaris tomorrow. If it's rain ever dries up, I'm going to drive down to every single one of my deer stands, and I'm going to poison the shit out of them sumbitches. Them fucking things ain't good for nothing. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. Hey, I got a good guest. Today. You guys are really going to dig this guy. His name is Brian Knobbs. Brian Knobbs is one half of a tag team of the Nasty Boys. Brian's a damn good friend of mine. I've known him since about the early 90s. I met him down in WCW. We'll discuss all this on the air. And God dang it seemed like as soon as I met that guy, we just really hit it off. All these years later, hell, that's probably almost 20 years later, we're still keeping in touch with each other, still shooting this shit. He's one of the craziest guys ever in the history of the business. And Brian's one of those guys where everybody loves him, but he can be the biggest pain in the ass sometimes just because he's so damn rowdy. But with that being said, he's probably one of the funniest guys in the history of the business who has so many damn off-the-wall stories, and he's going to tell a few of those here on the Steve Austin Show today. I'm looking forward to talk to him. Like I said, he's a damn good friend of mine, one of my friends that I've stayed in contact with after all these years. You're going to get a kick out of him. And before I go to a commercial break and come back with him, I want to say that I've been shopping on Amazon.com lately. And I've been going to the SteveAustinShow.com website and clicking on that Amazon banner because, like I've been telling you guys, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. And with Black Friday coming up, with Christmas coming up, all the shopping that we got to do, I ain't got time to jump in my truck, go down these muddy-ass roads and go to San Antonio and get a bunch of bullshit. So I'm on Amazon.com, and while I'm doing it, I'm supporting myself. I'm keeping the show on the air for free because whatever I'm spending my money on, they're going to kick back a little bit of love to the Steve Austin Show to help us pay the bill. So I'd appreciate if you guys going to do some shopping, go to SteveAustinShow.com, hit the Amazon banner. The prices are good, quick shipping. You ain't got to get amongst Black Friday, put up with all the bullshit and violence that's out there. Motherfuckers go crazy on a Black Friday. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Anyway, I'm coming right back with my good friend Brian Knobbs right after a word from our sponsors. Thanks to these guys, Lumosity.com. Y'all all work out and do what you got to do to stay fit, keep in shape. But what are you doing to work out your brain? Yeah, that little organ inside your skull. You got to stay sharp and ahead of the game mentally. You know this. That's why I recommend Lumosity.com. It's like a personal trainer for your brain. Dig that. Hey, based on the science of neuroplasticity, Lumosity.com gives you customized online workouts. Basically, they're exercises, but they're fun, like games, and it only takes a few minutes each day. Lumosity.com is designed to improve your brain's performance based on your goals. You're going to be sharper. You're going to be a better problem solver. Or you're going to remember more and think more clearly. Ha! I love it. No matter why you want a better brain, Lumosity.com can help. I've been using this thing. I'm thinking like a damn scientist. As many times as I've been hitting the head with a steel chair, my brain needs all the workouts it can get, and I do it by going to Lumosity.com. Check it out. Go to Lumosity.com today. Click the Start Training button to create your own program, then start playing your first game. That's Lumosity.com, and tell them you heard it from me, Steve Austin.
Steve Austin Unleashed.
All right, everybody. I'm talking to my good friend Brian Knobs. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Steve. It's good to be talking to you.
Hey, man, I was sitting there, to my listeners out there, I was sitting there doing a sound check with Brian. As you guys know, I'm at the Broken Skull Ranch. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I record these conversations on Skype. And so me and Brian were getting some levels and seeing how his quality of sound was, and I asked him what kind of phone he had, and you said you had a Galaxy Notebook.
Yes, it's a Galaxy Notebook, and I don't know how to really use it.
But you said you liked it because it's so big you can see it?
Yeah, I can see it. You know, I mean, it has a big screen, so I can actually, I'm getting older these days. I can actually see the things. I don't have to squint to look at what I'm, reading.
Well, why don't you go down to the doctor and get you some fucking glasses?
Because I just figured, heck, I don't look good with glasses, so I don't want to go that far yet. I'm pushing that off. That'll come in another 10 years.
Boy, I don't think glasses are going to really set your look off too much. On the other side of that, you've been married for 20 damn years, so what difference does it make?
Hey, you're right. You know what I might do, though? I might go down to the nearest Walgreens and get them readers. I heard they work pretty good, and now they got these kind that you can have, like, little lights on the side, so, they help you, read. And also, they give you a light.
Hey, dude, I'm wearing a pair of the Walgreens readers right now. I wear the 1.0s, the little metal horn frame things that are pretty damn strong. I look like a piece of shit in them, but I can see like a hawk.
Well, my wife, Tony, she's got them, and she's probably going to be, wring my neck for telling people. But, yeah, she has them on, and sometimes at night she has them on, and I'm like, what the heck? I think there's a burglar in the house or something. You look on the dark side of the house and you see these two little white lights coming at you. Like, what the heck is going on here?
Tony has the kind of glasses with the little lights on them?
Yeah, she has the things that has a little thing on the side. And that's why I said I got to get a pair of them.
Hey, man, let me ask you, man, you and I have been in the pro wrestling business for a long time. How long was your active career, Brian?
Well, put it this way. I'm still, like anyone would say, I'm still going out there and doing it. I don't do it as much anymore, so I'm kind of like semi-retired. But 27 years I've been doing it. Okay. I mean, it's really taking a toll on the body, I'll tell you that.
I know, I want to get to that. But the question I want to ask you is, I know your wife, Tony, pretty well. Every time we get a chance to get together, whether you guys are in L.A. and we hook up with myself and Kristen or just around. But I've known you for a long time. I've known Tony for a long time. How long have you guys been married?
20 years. In this January 21st, but we've been together, living together and everything for right now 23 years, and this coming January it'll be 24.
So there's my question right there. I've been divorced 3 times. I'm on my 4th marriage. I went down in flames several times. How did you, out of all the bullshit that you and Jerry Sags got into as the Nasty Boys, and you're one of the rowdiest cats in the history of the pro wrestling business. Anyway, we'll cover some of that down the road, but how did you keep this marriage together? This is a miracle.
You got to look at it, man. Nothing comes easy, and grass is not greener on the other side. But I luckily found a good woman that sticks behind it through thick and thin, and not out for herself, and actually there for me to help me out along the way. Because I'm pretty sure if she hasn't been, wasn't around with me for all these years, who knows where I'd be right now. It's kind of crazy, but she's been my backbone. Like everybody says, behind every good man there's a good lady. Well, just like you have a good lady right now, and it took you a little time to find it, I actually found her right away. So that was good on my part, because I'm still here and I'm still going strong. What can I say?
Well, hey, man, that's an interesting question. I know that you and Jerry Sags are from Whitehall Township, Pennsylvania, around those parts. Where is Tony from?
Tony's from Nashville, Hendersonville, actually. And, she was when she was brought up as a little kid, the parents had a barbecue shop right there, and all the famous country stars used to come in. And believe it or not, I can't. One time I got drunk and I was really getting on her. But when she was a kid, Roy Orbison actually babysitted her. She used to go and with little Roy. He actually passed away in the fire they had back in the day. But Roy Orbison and Johnny Cash used to babysit there. They used to go on sleepovers and stuff at their houses, and it's pretty cool to say that, and I didn't believe her, I thought she was BSing me. And then I took my parents, we went to Nashville with Tony, and we went to see Johnny Cash and June Carter when they were still living, and we're standing in line to get their autograph and, introduce it to my parents, and Johnny looks up and says, "How you doing, Tony? How's your parents doing? How is this doing?" And we got it all on tape because she had the video camera going, but she had it on her side so we wouldn't look like marks, you know what I mean? So, but it's all on camera, and June's asking how her sister's doing and this and that, and it was pretty cool. So after it was all over, I went, well, she wasn't BSing me. It was actually a shoot. You know what I mean?
Hey, let's talk about some ribs here in a second, because you guys were known for your drinking, as I was, but you guys were really known for your roughhouse tactics, your ribs, the life of a party, and sometimes the assholes of the party at the same time. I always got along great with you guys. When did you and I first met? Was it in WCW, or was it on the road somewhere when we were with different companies? Do you remember when you and I first met?
The first time, Steve, I think it was WCW. I'm pretty sure that was the first time, and you were with Pillman at the time.
Yeah.
And you guys were running strong, and we came in and we got along. We just hit it off right from the start.
We did.
You know the deal. When you meet somebody and you just have that feeling and you hit it off from the start, you know that guy's gonna be friends with you for life, through thick and thin, and have your back and all that stuff. And that's the way me and you hit it off, right like that,
Oh, I know. We did hit it off. But hey, let's go back to you guys growing up down there in Pennsylvania.
We were from Whitehall, PA, actually, and that is, the Lehigh Valley. Allentown, Pennsylvania is I always refer to it like Allentown because Billy Joel wrote a song about it. So it was, we're living here in Allentown and they're closing all the factories down. So I'm going to become a pro wrestler and show everybody in Allentown what I can do. No, but
so when did you fall in love with the business? When did you start watching pro wrestling? And I'm guessing because of your location, you were getting WWF.
It was WWF back in the day.
Yeah.
Steve, it goes all the way back to the early 70s when Pedro Morales went against Bruno Sammartino at Chase Stadium. I mean, we used to it was all WWF, and we didn't get no others. We didn't get NWA, we didn't get AWA, and, that was one of the major, companies back in the day. And I guess Vince Sr. ran it, but man, they had Pampero Football, they had S.P. Jones, Superstar Billy Graham, Bob Backlund. I mean, the list goes on. And I used to do TV at Hamburg, and we went and watched, TV. We'd go see TV tapings at the time with Captain Lou Albano, Professor Tanaka, and
but
Mr. Fuji.
When you say we, you're talking about you and Jerry Sags, right? Your partner.
Well, Sags would go on a couple of them. My brother would go. I mean, me and my brother were big fans, but Sag would hop along on a couple of the trips. But I was really I was insane about it. You know what I mean? And Sag liked it, but he wasn't as crazy as I was for it at that time. I was going to, everything. I would every time they would come, I was going to go, to a TV taping. And then I guess something happened in Philly, and when they were taping in Philly, I guess the building burned or whatever. Then they moved it to Allentown. Then they were doing the tapings in Allentown, and that's when Zbyszko hit Sammartino over the head, and Sammartino was laying in his pool of blood there, and that happened right there. And then so did the Jimmy Snuka, Roddy Piper, coconut thing happen there too.
That was in Allentown. That was one of the best angles of all time.
Yeah, that was either in Allentown or in Hamburg, but I think it was in Allentown,
Okay, so you got...
memory gets a little foggy these days there, Steve.
Yeah, but okay, so you're bit by the wrestling bug, so you decide that you want to get trained. How did you end up over there getting trained by Vern Gagne and Brad Ringens?
Well, first of all, me and Ted were getting in a lot of trouble. He got thrown out of college, and I kind of got, a very polite way asked to leave. I was in the Army, and we both ended up back in, Whitehall, PA, and we were getting in fights every weekend, and our good friend was Matt Millen, and at the time, Penn State, and then he went and played for, a great NFL career, but he was playing for the Oakland Raiders at the time. But he was good friends with me and Sag. He was a couple of years older, and he sat us down and he said, "Hey man, you guys are going to wind up in jail. You guys need to do something with yourselves." Like, gave us a little pep talk there, and then he said, "Hey, why don't you try it now? You always loved that wrestling. Sag, you always loved that wrestling. Why don't you, try pro wrestling?" And we both looked at each other like, "Hey, that's not a bad idea." So then we went, and you know how it is. I know now, and you know now, but we were marks at the time. We were bugging George the Animal Steele. They used to stay right there at the George Washington Motor Lodge, right down, from our houses, about maybe 10 minutes away. So we would bug them after the match. We'd drive around, and we'd look and see, where are they? Oh, there's George the Animal. And we were trying to talk to them. And, you know how it is when they're finished wrestling, they want to have a couple beers and just chill.
They want to be left alone. They don't want to be hounded by a bunch of marks. Yeah, exactly. We were stalking them like a bunch of marks. And then finally, George Steele called me up and said, we finally got touch base, and I told him we wanted to be wrestlers. Well, he got so pissed off at us, he had Bob Orton Jr., Jimmy Snuka, and I forget which other wrestler there at the Quality Inn. They were staying at the Quality and called us up to come down, and they were going to stretch us. They were going to, really beat the hell out of us there, right there at the hotel. And thank God, I was working and Sag was working. And I said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Steele, but, we are not going to be able to make it." So he said, "Well, if you're really serious about doing this pro wrestling, there's only one school to go to. That's Vern Gagne's school up in Minnesota. They'll teach you right," which he was saying in his mind, "You're going to go, I'm sending you up to get tortured," because that's what kind of school it was. You're getting up and we started with 22 damn students, and me and Sag were the only ones to survive. And the only reason that was is because we lived on the bottom of Brad Reagan. Brad Reagan's trained, the Olympic champion. He was our coach, and we lived in his house, so we were on the bottom of his house. So our car broke down, so there was no way. We were kind of stuck. It's like we couldn't get out of there. It was like, "You're here, and you're getting tortured." I'm telling you. I mean, because he had a Olympic champion come in there like Jeff Blatnick. God bless his soul. He's not here no more. But he came in and stretched, and we got stretched by everybody. You know what I mean? But the craziest part about it was, hey, let's face it, he's an Olympic champion. When we came to the camp, there was no wrestling ring. It was Olympic mats. We were on them Olympic mats for 3 months, Steve, and we got tortured. I mean, we got tortured. Brad was we were real wrestling, and we were getting hammered, and we were going every day, almost, I think it was 4 or 5 hours a day. I mean, it was like an Olympic training camp because that's what Brad was used to. Yeah. And then when you couldn't even lift your arm, then Vern Gagne would come from the office, all dressed up in his tie, and take his tie off and get down there on the mat with us and put us in these shooter holes till we screamed. And by the time Brad worked us over, our grandmothers could have beat us. I mean, let's face it. But that was the way they did things back then. I guess it was almost like they tortured you to try to get you out of there. They didn't want you passing the school.
I've got to ask you this: with all the amateur greats working out with Brad Reagan, getting stretched by Olympic level athletes, and then here comes Vern with his background. With all this scientific amateur training, I don't remember you guys employing any of those tactics as your tag team, the Nasty Boys. You guys, don't get me wrong, you get your high spots in, but you guys were brawlers, lots of punching and kicking. What happened to the scientific amateur stuff?
Because we went back to our old ways of barroom fighting.
There you go.
That's what got us into the business anyway. We were getting in trouble back in PA, and Matt Millen said, "You guys are going to wind up in jail. Why don't you try to pro wrestling?" So when we finally learned the business and take bumps and hit the ropes, we went back to what we knew best, punching and kicking and barroom fighting.
Well, so then where was your first run? Was it AWA?
AWA was our first, territory, but back in the day how things went. We went through, went through the school. It lasted about 4 months, almost 4.5, 5 months. We were the last guys to survive, and then after that, we got hired by Vern, but it was hired by Vern to drive the ring truck and referee. We did that for 6 to 8 months.
Oh,
and then
man.
one day, on the Ringo was just too early. So Kurt Hennig and I forget it, Jimmy Snuka and Colonel De Beers and all the main eventers would always come in late, because they were used to coming in late. And Kurt told the story. God bless his soul. He's not here no more either. He was our mentor. But he's driving up and he goes, "Hey, that looks like the ring truck." And all of a sudden he looked over at us and he goes, "What the hell? It's the ring truck." And we weren't even at the show yet. And the main eventers were coming in late, so the ring wasn't even put up. So that happened. And the next thing that happened is there was a mix-up, but we got blamed for it. The ring never showed up to the town. So after that, that's when they finally threw us in the ring. We got axed from that job because the next day, Vern Gagne called us in the office and goes, "Never, since I own this company for 40 years, has a ring never shown up to the town where it was supposed to be." And me and Cy were sitting there going, "What's his name was supposed to bring the ring this time? Not us." He goes, "Bullshit, you guys were down to bring the ring and you didn't bring the ring. We were sitting at home and we get this call and it was the ring didn't show up to the town." So
straight up shoot, was it your fault or was it the other guy's fault?
It was the other guy's fault, but he blamed us, of course. He was around for a while.
So then you guys get in the ring. Do y'all automatically come up with, okay, we're going to call ourselves the Nasty Boys? Was that the first name? How did y'all get to that?
No. Our first name, believe it or not, we had this thing because I was in the Army, we were going to call ourselves the Mercenaries, right?
It kind of got a good ring to it. Sounds better than Ringmaster.
Oh, yeah. But so we had this baby, okay, the Mercenaries, we're going to go with that. And then we went out with Vern Gagne's daughter, Donna, and she went out with us one night, and we were out to 2, 3 in the morning. And the next day when we came in the office, she called us in, and she goes, "I want to talk to you guys about something." And she goes, "The way you acted last night, you acted like a bunch of rowdy, nasty boys." She goes, you guys should think about maybe calling yourself the Nasty Boys." And me and Sag looked at each other and went, "Hey, that is a good name." And that's how we got our name, from her going out with us one night. And me and Sag back in the day, as crazy as we were, doing our thing. And the next day she said, "I don't know why you want to call yourselves the Mercenaries. You guys should call yourself the Nasty Boys." And me and Sag went, "Hey, that's a good name." So we went with it.
So you're there in AWA, and then so how long does that last? Because then I probably met you guys down in WCW in, 91, 92?
I think in 90 we met. And 90? 90. I think we met in 90. And we were we started the school in 85, started AWA in 86. Then we got fired. I didn't tell that story. We got fired because we almost burned down a motel in North Dakota. But then again, I just got to say, God bless his soul, Kurt Hennig was like the big guy and stir everything up. And then we always got blamed for everything. And the Rockers were there too. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Hey, well, you guys were having great matches with the Rockers back then, right? Because I mean,
oh yeah,
they were
awesome.
Those guys were on fire, and so you guys had to having.
Well, you know, back in the day, me, Sag, and Shawn all lived together, and in this one room that Brad had downstairs in his house, and they had 3 beds. There was one twin bed and one big king-size bed, and believe it or not, nothing went on funky, but me and Shawn slept in the same bed because everything was broke at the time, and we were all in the one room together for about 6 months. It was me, Sag, and Shawn Michaels all living together.
Well, how did you guys get along back in the day? Because, you know, Shawn kind of went through his phase where, you know, he went through his issues, and he was a kind of a different cat there for quite some time. But how was he back in the day as a rookie, you know, paying his dues and learning the chops?
Bro, he was great. We were best of friends. You know, I don't talk to him too much no more. I'd like to get in touch with him, but we just haven't touched base. You know, things go after, you know, time goes by. But we were the best of friends, and you know, I still consider him a real good friend of mine. Just haven't talked to him in years. But he had a thing. You know, Shawn could always be that smart alecky kind of, you know, cocky kind of guy. Well, he was that. So there was a little thing that went on that some of the old timers didn't like that. Wahoo McDaniels, you know, there was Ray Crippler Stevens was there, and, you know, a lot of the old timers, you know, like were saying, who do these young guys think they are? And because we were pulling ribs and, you know, doing all this crazy stuff. And, you know, there's a couple times where we had his back, but there were a couple times when some of the vets wanted to, you know, rip his head off, you know, because he was right from the start. He always had that talent, though. He could work, and so could Marty. And, you know, I don't know if they were jealous or whatever, but they thought we weren't showing the respect, but we were. And, you know, a couple times there it got kind of crazy where, you know, we almost went toe to toe with, you know, like the old vets against the young guns, you know.
Well, what kind of ribs were you guys pulling at an early age? And to my listeners all across the world, I know a large part of my wrestling audience will know what the ribs are. Ribs, to my people that don't necessarily know wrestling, are practical jokes that guys play on one another just to alleviate pressure or for a few laughs, or maybe because you don't really like someone, but they're a big part of the pro wrestling scene. So what kind of ribs, if you guys are pretty ballsy to be pulling ribs on veterans that have years of experience, what the hell were you guys doing?
Kurt, the thing with it was up there at the Western Hole, it was called, up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and Wahoo and Kurt kind of had a little thing going on, and at the time Wahoo was the booker, and him and Ray Stevens were staying in a room together, so he had us bang on their door real loud. This was an outside hotel. You know, you could just drive up to the room.
Yeah, like a
so we banged on the door. Boom, 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 boom. And when they opened it, we were sitting in the back of Kurt's truck with Sag had one and I had one with one of these 50 Roman candles each, so 100 shots each. And when they opened the door, bing, bang, boom, boom, they were getting blasted by these fireballs, these, you know, red, yellow, blue were coming shooting in. And then the next day, Kurt Henning's tires were slashed. I guess, you know, Wahoo went and flattened 3 of his tires with a knife. And then one star that Wahoo brought in, his name was Mitch Snow, and he was the pretty boy. Well, he drank too much and fell asleep, and then he woke up with no eyebrows.
No,
that was one of the.
It's funny.
It's
funny how anytime you guys are around somebody and someone goes to sleep or passes out, more correctly, y'all had a nasty tendency to shave off said eyebrows. What was it with the eyebrows that you guys love so much?
Dude, I don't know. That was something that Kurt Hennig, you know, I don't know who actually invented that damn rib, but, you know, I lost my eyebrows a couple of times, and you know what? It wouldn't cut both of them off. It would only shave one of them off.
So you look
like a moron when you're going through the airport, you know? And, you know,
it takes a while for them to come back.
Oh, hey, I want to tell you, I only got Kurt once, and it was great because he didn't know it until he got to the airport. And when he went to check in his flight, because we were in the Tennessee territory at the time, in the Mid-South. This was in '87.
Yeah.
And we finally got him. He didn't know it. And we rushed him to the airport. And then when he got off, and he went, you put him his ticket on, that's when the lady was looking at him weird, and he touched his thing and went, "You son of a bitch has got me." You know what I mean? So this is what he did to us. For me and Sag had a one-bedroom. And in this one-bedroom in Tennessee, we had the Rockers staying with us. We had Scott Hall at one time staying with us. Everybody staying with us in this one little shitty, crappy one-bedroom apartment. So about Kurt leaves and about a month goes by, and me and Sag are at each other's throat. Sag's going, "Wash your fucking stuff. You know, it smells like shit in here." And I'm going, "It's not me, it's your stuff."
You're reindeer, right?
Yeah, we were almost going to fisticuffs. Finally, we go and clean the whole room out. And right in between, we both had twin beds. But in between, we had the nightstand. We pull out the drawer, and we're cleaning out the drawer. In the very back, there's a Dove soap container. And Chad goes, "What's this?" And when we pulled it out, that damn Henning took a dump and put it in that Dove container, that Dove soap container, and put it in the back of our night table stand there in the drawer. And it was like a shit deodorizer. And it stank up the whole room and had me and Sag almost at fisticuffs going, "Your stuff stinks. No, your stuff stinks." And here, Kurt rigged us and put a real live poop deodorizer in our room, you know?
And that's the thing about, Kurt was a tremendous worker and one of the nicest guys. I mean, he introduced me to a lot of people when I first came to WWF, but he was always so good about helping guys, taking them under his wing, mentoring a lot of guys. But to people who didn't get a chance to really see or know too much of Kurt Hennig, God rest his soul, he was one of the biggest ribbers in the history of the business. And Kurt was one of those guys. And I didn't know Kurt real well, but I knew him well enough. He just had that personality where you could be mad at him for like 15 minutes. And then, you just had to forgive him because he was such a cool guy. And, he was just mischievous and he always had that smile on his face. I don't think as many times as I crossed paths with Kurt Hennig that I ever saw that guy in a bad mood or without a smile on his face.
No, and you're right. He was always in good spirits, Brian, and he was one of our mentors when we first started in the business. And I'm telling you, man, it was to learn from him, and not only wrestling wise, and learn the psychology and all that, but the ribs. Oh my word! You always had to watch your back. I mean, it was a big thing back in the day when they would always put these padlocks. They would get them from the small high schools we were wrestling at and everything. And then they would put them on your bag or lock your bag up to the top of the rafters, and you would have to go try to get a superintendent there or a janitor with a bolt cutter if they had one to cut your bag down. If not, you were stuck in a town the whole night.
Either that or they put all the combination locks on your belt loops of your jeans. Yes. Then you walk around with a bunch of combination locks. Oh, it was total bullshit.
And then, God bless his soul, Hawk from the Road Warriors came in and went, "Nobody ribs the Road Warriors." And then when they came out that night, they had a padlock on their brand new Lincoln on all of the door handles. Yeah. So when they went down the road, it was going all the locks were rattling, and they mixed up their brand new town car they bought. And that was definitely a Kurt Hennig one, And another one was, if anybody remembers Nails, well, Nails just bought this brand new truck, and somebody ripped off the hood on it. It was a Dodge Ram. He used to have them big Rams.
I got one of those. Yeah.
well, after that, he was driving with Kurt, and Kurt had him convinced it was Sheik Admiral Casey. And Sheik Admiral Casey's, I don't know how old he was then. And the next day we're at the TV up there in Minnesota, and Sheik Admiral Casey comes in and he has his coffee and he's laughing, going, Kevin Nails, Kevin Kelly thought it was him that did it because Kurt stirred up, and he went running over to him and just beat the living hell out of him right there at the interview room. And then Greg Gagne jumped in and says, Kevin, stop it. We have expensive TV equipment around here. He wasn't worried about Sheik Adnan getting his ass kicked. He was worried about some of the TV equipment getting busted. So now after that happened, Greg goes off, has everybody sitting around and saying, this shit's gonna stop. If any of this happens again, you're fired. One of you guys out there, blah, 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 blah. After he gets through with his whole speech, Kurt goes, you fucking